Hi Flosstube, I'm Lori Schickalone and welcome to Once Upon a Stitch. Thank you for visiting with me today. To any new subscribers I might have acquired since the last video. I love making videos. I'm always nervous to do them. I haven't gotten used to it yet. This is Flosstube number 16. Today is Thursday, October 18th, around 10:07 in the morning. And you're wondering, what am I doing making a video early in the morning? Usually I do it later on. Last night my son James and his girlfriend Amy stayed over, and they left for vacation themselves this morning. So my husband drove them to the airport, so we got up at 5:30 so that they can get out of the door by 6:30. So I've been up for a while, so I feel like I'm into the afternoon almost. And so I decided to make this video, long awaited for me, because I enjoy meeting with you and visiting, and hope you enjoy your time with me as well. I'm going to start with, some people wanted to hear about my vacation. My husband and I, we flew to Venice, and we stayed 2 nights there before we took a 7-day cruise. And on the first day that we arrived on a Thursday, and our room wasn't ready, so they held our luggage and we went out exploring the city. And we didn't take the water buses. We did it all on foot. And you walk so far, and then you have to cross a little bridge to get to the other side, because they're all waterways there. So we walked for about 3 hours that afternoon when we first got there. I didn't sleep much on the plane. I did some stitching, but it was a very, very turbulent trip. So trying to find that hole in stitching wasn't always the greatest, but I plugged away. I was trying not to think about the turbulence, because that kind of freaked me out. But my son put it a good way. He says, just think of it as going down a bumpy road in a car. So anyway, we walked to the Rialto Bridge, which is the oldest stone bridge in Venice over the Grand Canal. And then we continued our walk to St. Mark's Square, and the church, the basilica there. And I remember, I've been to Venice a handful of times from when I was 11 years old, that my mother took me. And I remember that square being more full of pigeons than tourists, and now it's kind of the opposite. It was very, very crowded, and there were pigeons there. I don't know if they fed them like we used to in the past. There were people selling food to feed the pigeons, and you buy it and you hold your hands out and they land all over you. Luckily they never pooped on me, but it was fun when I was 11. Now not so much. So then we walked around towards the canal by St. Mark's Square and around the corner, and that was the Bridge of Sighs was there. That is, if anybody doesn't know, it's a bridge that connects the Doge's palace to the dungeons and the prisons. And when prisoners made that trek over that bridge, they looked out. They had these 2 small windows, and that was where they took their supposedly last breath of ever being a free person again. And so that's why it's called the Bridge of Sighs. So then we made it back to our hotel. The room was ready. We took a little snooze, and then we went out again in the evening, ate dinner. And then the next morning we took a water bus and we went over to Murano, where they do the glass blowing. And then we had lunch on that island. Then we took the boat to Burano, which is the lace making island. And they don't make lace by hand anymore. 2 of the stores had women demonstrating how it was made, but they made it using a needle and thread. And what they did was they had a pattern drawn on their fabric, which was then put on a piece of paper, and then the paper was put on a piece of another fabric as a backing. Or was it just the paper? I forget now. And they did it with needle and thread. And she demonstrated it, and of course I told them about my friend Arlene Cohen and how she used bobbins, and they were, aware of bobbin lacing. But right now all they do is by machine. And so it was a beautiful island. All the houses were pastel colors, and all just basically two-story houses, rows of houses, very pretty. So then that was Friday. Saturday was when the cruise started, and we met up with my husband's cousins from Australia. There were five of them and 2 of us, so we were a group of 7, and that's what made the cruise. The company that we were with, because the cruise was so-so. It was an MSC cruise. The ship was the Sinfonia, and it was okay. I mean, it was nothing to brag about. Would I recommend it? Probably not. And not because of anything other than everything was mediocre. I didn't find it above and beyond anything. I expected a lot more, I guess, hearing about people's cruises and how they loved them so much. And as far as the stops that we made, I loved the places that we went to, but it wasn't always convenient. The first stop was Split, Croatia, and I don't remember how many hours we were there for the first day, but basically you arrive at 9 and they want you back on the boat by 2 so that they can depart at 3. So it didn't give us much time for exploration, but what we did was we rented taxis for so many hours, and he brought us to places around Split. And one of the places that we did visit in Split was the Fortress of Kliss, Kliss. And that was fun because that was where Game of Thrones filmed. I believe it was season 3. In their episodes, they did film in that fortress. So it was fun, climbing it, and then at the top there was a small chapel, and we spent a good amount of time there. We took pictures, and then we got back in the taxi, and he took us to different parts of the city. It was on an island, and it was basically like a rock hill, and you kind of drove up, and then you drove around it, and it was beautiful. The views from it was gorgeous. There was one of the oldest Jewish cemeteries there, and they explained to us that it is mostly a Roman Catholic city. So it was beautiful. Back on the ship, the next stop was Santorini. And Santorini is everything that you've ever heard of about it. It's beautiful, it's white, it's blue, it's gorgeous. The water is a beautiful blue. Again, we landed, we took a small tender boat to the main island, and then we had a cable car. Oh, the camera's moving. We took a cable car to the top, and they warned you that the lines in the afternoon for the cable car coming back down would be long. And again, the ship was leaving at 3. So at 12:30, the line was long. I timed it because I wanted to see how much time I was going to waste online after exploring a beautiful city and not being able to do much else than walk around for a couple of hours. No time for shopping, no time for really browsing. You want to see so much of the city in itself that you left that, like any shopping to do to the end. And basically we were online over an hour to get on the cable car to go back down, to then get on another line to get on the tender to get back on the ship. So that's why I'm saying the cruise was mediocre. We expected that you were in port the whole day, taking advantage of everything possible. We left at 3. We pulled into Mykonos at 8 that evening, and we only had till 2 o'clock in the morning. So we didn't see much of Mykonos. We didn't see any of it in the daytime. Mykonos, what we did see was, again, we got off our ship, got on another ship, not ship, it was more of a bigger tender, that took a couple of hundred people over to a section of the town that was like a cove. I don't know how else to explain it, but it was just store, restaurants in a semicircle. And it was, the water was out here, and you could see there were boats tendered out there. It looked beautiful from what we could see at night. So we ended up eating dinner there, walked around a bit, and then headed back to the ship. Next day we were at sea, and then the next day after that we pulled into Dubrovnik, which is in Croatia as well, and that was awesome. We took a bus after we got off the ship, and they brought you to the old town, and it was beautiful, beautiful. Again, Game of Thrones was filmed in the castles there, and we saw if anybody is Game of Thrones fans, where Cersei did her walk of shame, the steps. We visited those steps. Of course, I walked the walk of shame fully clothed. I didn't want to scare anybody. And then so we visited the castles there. It was all beautiful. There was a section in the movie that there was a painted map on the floor, and we walked into that. We recognized that area. Of course, the map wasn't there, but the beautiful mosaics, floors, and it was beautiful. Just not enough time to enjoy it. And then the final stop was Ancona, Italy, where I met up with my cousin, who presently lives about an hour, less than an hour from there, she said. She drove up so that we can spend the time together. She was originally from Rome, and usually when I go to Italy, I always see her. Either I stay with her, or some part of the vacation we're always together. So she drove up. I gave her the cherub with the bird that I made and some other presents, and we shared some gifts, and then we went out exploring the city and had a lovely lunch, and then we said our goodbyes and we hopped back on the ship, and the next morning we were back in Venice. And then my Australian cousin stayed one more night, and so we spent the day walking around together, doing a little bit of shopping there, and then that night we went out to dinner. The next morning we got together till they were ready to leave, because they were leaving for, sorry, the camera keeps moving. They were leaving to go to Sicily. Sal and I stayed an extra night, and we left on Monday and then back home. And it took me a couple of days to adjust to the time difference. Usually I'm pretty good at it, but this time it took me a little bit longer. I didn't know when I was up or when I was sleeping. I wasn't sleeping much, but yeah, it worked out, and I didn't get much stitching done on vacation. I'll show you that later, what I did get done. And but I've been stitching a lot since I've been back, because I've missed it a lot. Alrighty, so that was my vacation. Yesterday I dog sat from my son and daughter-in-law's dog Ozzy. Went over, and because they were going to be home late last night, so to break up his day, Sal and I went over, played with him for a couple hours, and then headed back home. And then here we are. So, I wanted to tell you some things that I noticed while I was in Europe. And maybe they're trends that are coming here, maybe not. As far as handbags, I noticed the trend there was basket weaved leather. It was basket weaved, and they were big bags, small bags. I saw some shoes made like that. Very pretty, and not one color of leather. They were, in this case, there were a lot of fall colored bags, which were beautiful. And the other thing on handbags, oops, cell phone. Sorry, I just wanted to stop it because I don't know how many times it would ring. And it's usually nobody I know. So it's usually spam. And sorry about that. Guess I'm out of practice. So the handbags. And then the other one was like flowers cut out of leather that were sewn onto, that were a 3D effect. A lot of 3D effects added to the handbags. I noticed that. The other thing I noticed were pants. They seem to be like sailor pants, wide-legged but short, like just about above the ankle. Would not be a good style for me because I am short, but it looked lovely on the people that I saw it on, and it was around Venice that I saw these styles. And then the last one, which I thought was awesome, my husband says I should have taken a picture of it. I kind of drew it. I'm going to get real close. Pretend this is somebody's leg, and this one was the front of the leg, and it was like a face of a cat. Of course, I didn't get the details. And then the back of her leg was like the tail of the cat. Let's see, it's not focusing very well. But, and they were stockings. And I should have taken a picture. I should have asked her if I could take a picture of her legs to show this. So I'm wondering if that's something that will be coming here. So those are the things that I noticed while on vacation. Okay. Let's get back to our reason we're here. Somebody asked me about this quilt, and I made this quilt a number of years ago, and I got the idea from this quilting book, American Patchwork. And this is the actual quilt of what it looked like, the pattern looked like. But I didn't want to make jack-o'-lanterns, and I didn't want to do the star and the cat, so I kind of just drew it. I drew the size of the block that I wanted, and then I just drew the pumpkins, and I did needle turn to attach them to the different blocks. And then this is all hand quilted, so that's how I know I did it a long time ago. Probably in the 90s. Let's see if we can turn it just a tad so you can see a little bit more. Sorry, I'm making you dizzy. I'll just keep it down. Okay, so that's my quilt. So the last time we were here, I told you I won a giveaway from Broadway Stitcher, and I was waiting on another one. So it came, and this is the giveaway I won. I'm so excited. It's from Priscilla and Chelsea, and it's the Autumn Acres Farm that I am thrilled to have won and am excited to stitch. I also got from Cindy Cross Stitcher. She is such a doll. She's so calming, her videos. She does beautiful work and finishes, and she comes up with these beautiful ideas. She sent me, which I was so surprised to receive. She sent me a Lizzie Kay pattern, Joy to the World, that I'll be stitching that. And then she said if I didn't like it to pass the stash. So I do like it. I'm going to stitch it, and then I will pass the stash. And she also sent me from Clay Bitekim. This is the see if it. Doesn't want to focus. There you go. And she sent me my first needle minder that I've ever received. Or I really haven't bought a needle minder. So look how beautiful that is. Gorgeous. And when I received it, I was like in shock. I was like, I just didn't expect it. And when you don't expect something and something shows up, you're moved. I was literally moved. I can't tell you how happy it made me. She gave me a beautiful card, and like her, I do love cardinals as well. Beautiful note. So I was beyond the moon. And then I came back from vacation, and I found another envelope. And in this envelope was a lavender and lace pattern. And it's from McKenna from Stitching in Sequins. It is called Earth Angel. McKenna does live videos from the attic, and I tried on a couple of different patterns, trying to buy them. I just not fast enough, or my computer or phone is not up to sync, because usually by the time I write "me please," there's like 4 or 5 before me. So she found another pattern. She knew I asked for this one, and she was so kind enough to send it to me and surprise me with that. So thank you, McKenna. Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, Priscilla and Chelsea. I'm very happy with what I received from all of you. Okay, so my finishes. Now, the finishes I'm showing, I think, are basically from the startitis that I had finished a couple of projects. The other ones are larger, and it'll take me a while before I finish those. But the first one, well, this wasn't a startitis, but this is a finish. This was the December pillow that I finished stitching, and so I finally finished it into a little pillow. And then these are the ones that I did finish. This is the Winter by Mani di Donna. And I just put a pin dot background. That one. The next one was the Lizzie Kate Autumn. This is how I finished this one. And a la Priscilla and Chelsea, I used magnets. And then I could change it. Oops. No. Sorry. Okay. Did Autumn. And I'll do a Lizzie Kate Winter. I think I got this easel at Michael's. And what I did here was, this back here is foam core that I covered in like a snowflakey fabric. I put the magnet there. I just put a little pick. Thank you, Lori, for remembering. A pick. And this could be, so the back that has the fabric is on a foam core, and with a knife or screwdriver I could pop it out, and if I want I can change, just trying to straighten it out, but I can't straighten it out backwards, I just can't. I can pop this out and change the background and attach a different pattern. So that's my finish on Winter by Lizzie Kate. Then this is also Lizzie Kate, and this is from their Autumn pamphlet. This was the houses, and I finished it in like a little pillow with bird houses on the back. And I thought that came out really cute. So now I can display it now that I've shown it to you. And then yes, I can drive a stick. Also Lizzie Kate, and this is how I finished it. I put some purple rickrack, some pom-poms, and I stitched this hair, fuzzy hair around it, and the background is just polka dots, and I did the plaid on the bottom. So those are my 5 finishes. Now, my whips. Okay, so I was doing September startitis, and I left off that the next one I was going to be working on was Joy, which, let's see, Allison from Stitching Social, sorry. It's been a long time since you've made a video, and you and Jen have to get together and make a video, because it helps me remember things when I see it more often. And this is how far I got. And what I want to show you is this. If you look real close, you can see some sulky threads that I put in there. What happened was I did the whole outside border, and it didn't meet up. And the thing is, I couldn't find my mistake. So that's what made it. I mean, I went stitch by stitch almost, and I'm like, why can't I find this? I don't know what I did, but I couldn't find it. So what I did was, I didn't grid the pattern, but I made grid marks with it. Because I hadn't stitched anything on the inside, I couldn't reference it either. So when I saw that one side did meet up top to bottom, like from here to here, well, it was actually this side that met up, I worked off of here and gridded some grid lines, and then I frogged the other side, redid it, and it met up, and then I stitched the tree with the bird. And I do love this pattern. So that's how far I got on that. I did stitch more than 2 days on this because it was so close to vacation that I didn't want to start another one. And what I did was, during that time, during the day, I did my finishes, and at night I would sit and stitch my starts. This is the one I brought on vacation, and this was Little House Needleworks Autumn ABCs. I brought 3 projects. This is the only one I stitched on, and basically all I did was stitch on the plane. And this is how far I got. Not much at all. But will I finish it before Christmas? I don't know. But I put it in a hoop. One of those spring hoops I worked on, and I worked on it on the plane, and like I said, going there was really turbulent, so it took a while to get the stitches in. But the next one, when I came back, was A Year at Hawk Run Hollow. I saw Amy from Amy Loves Toads finish on this. It is gorgeous. I don't know, I'm stitching it and I'm not thrilled with it. I don't know why, but I'm going to finish the first block this month, hopefully. This is how far I got on A Year at Hawk Run Hollow. I have to fill in her skirt and then do the rest of the block. What I've learned from watching Amy is when she does a border, I see a lot of people like do the whole outside border, and to me that's just a reason to give me to frog, because I find that I wouldn't count correctly. I don't know why, but I'm always hesitant about just stitching a square, rectangular, or whatever border, because I have no reference points. So what I do is, when I start stitching, like I started up in this corner, when I started the border, then I would do the word so that I had an idea of how far I had to go over, and then I put the young lady in, and this way I have an idea of how far the border is going to be away from her dress. So I have guidelines, but Amy showed a technique where she does an X at every 10th stitch. She'll do it like a 10, 10, 10, 10 X, and then she'll go back and recross her X's after she stitches the whole border. But I thought that was a really clever idea. And then when watching other people's videos, I saw that they did the same thing. They showed a close-up of it, and I was able to see that they did it the same way, which I didn't know anything about. So live and learn. Okay, so then since I can't come back, I picked up my Plum Street Heritage Sampler, and this is how far I got on that one. I did a couple of days on this, and I do love it. I started, oops, let's see, I'll stand up so I can give you a better idea. I did basically, sorry, this side of the border, the flowers, I did Abe, and I did started the flag. I didn't finish the flag. The flag is 1/1. So that's how much I did since I returned. Next to the flag and his hat is a square box that's vacant there. The year goes in there over one, and then the background has to be stitched around that. So I think maybe 2 more rotations on this, and I should get that accomplished. Then I picked up Farmhouse Christmas, and I completed block number 5, which is the quilt one, and did a little bit of the flowers around and greenery around the border. And then the next one is block 6, but maybe I will do some more of the border before getting to 6. So that's my progress on that one. And this would be number 6 that I would be making, Pinewood Farm. I don't know if it's clear enough for you. I hope it is. Okay. Then I went back to my September 1st start of From Home from the Holidays book, and that was 'Tis the Season, which is that one. What I did was I did the words in red and I did it in English. And when I picked this up, I started with a frog and I ended with a frog. For some reason, I guess it knows that I don't like doing white snowflakes. This is how far I got. And every time I put the snowflake in, I don't know if you can see it. It seems to be... Does that help? Back further. Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay. I referenced the wrong leaf when I did the snowflake, and then when I frogged it and put it in again, I was 1 stitch too high. So I frogged it again, but I did I did stitch the words in red. I think 1 more rotation and I should be able to complete this one. And then the one that I am working on now is Pumpkins for Sale by Little House Needleworks, and this is how far I got. I just stitched last night, and then I'll stitch the P, and then tonight I'll do the I. Hopefully I can get the last 2 pumpkins in. I'm hoping to finish this in my next rotation to at least be done in November. Okay, so those are my whips. My plans are this Saturday we're getting together at Needleworkers Delight from the New Jersey Retreat Group. I think we're going to have a surprise visit from some of our Canada friends. I'm hoping they can make it. I won't know till I get there, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, seeing what they've been working on, and getting to the store because I've been catching up on a lot of Flosstube that I've missed since I've been away, and I've been seeing all the beautiful patterns that everybody's working on and how you've enabled me and wanting to stitch it all, and I just feel like I'm overwhelmed with everything that I want to stitch, and the time. Where does the time go? A little bit of haul, not much at all. Actually, it was from McKenna's attic. One was the Prairie Schooler, The Night Before Christmas. Love that pattern. And then they were doing a floss, some limited edition from, I guess Crescent Colorworks was the name then, but it's Classic Colorworks. And these are the colors that I bought. So that's all the haul I got this time. I'm hoping to make up for it when I go to Needleworkers. In November, I plan to do some Christmas ornaments. So I hope to get another video to you the end of October or the very, very beginning of November. Show you my progress and then tell you my plans for November. I'm thinking ornaments so that they're ready for Christmas, but we'll see. I want to get some other patterns done too. So the joys of cross stitching. Love it all. Just need more time. Anyway, thanks for visiting. I hope you enjoyed your visit, and I hope you come back. And love you guys. You've been my rock. Thanks so much. Bye.